From that time on, after Peter's confession, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and to undergo great suffering at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, the scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. And Peter took Jesus aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "God forbid it, Lord, this must never happen to you." But Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." Then Jesus told his disciples, "If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit them if they gain the whole world, but forfeit their life? Or what will they give in return for their life? For the Son of Man is to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will repay everything for what has been done. Truly I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." The Gospel of the Lord. For a couple of weeks now, I have found myself strangely intrigued by the pastor's succession problem at a faraway place named Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Coral Ridge was one of the early pioneers in television ministry. Remember them? It featured amazing music and the preaching of Dr. D. James Kennedy, who, when he stuck to Scripture, was good, but often wandered into some political theme or another that was so off the wall that it would make even a conservative like me blush. Kennedy served for 40 years as the church's founding and only pastor. And then he did the worst thing that anybody could do to a congregation. Shortly after Christmas, the week after Christmas to be exact, in 2006, Dr. Kennedy had a massive heart attack and he died the following September. Such an act in non-Roman Catholic circles usually qualifies one for sainthood. And Kennedy was, in fact, canonized by his loyal followers, who were still, and rightly so, mourning his passing when it came time to call a new senior minister. The church elders landed on an unlikely candidate by the unusual name of Tullian Tchividjian. Actually, his full name is William Graham Tullian Tchividjian, named after his grandfather, Billy Graham. He is a chip off the old block. He is an excellent preacher, far and above Dr. Kennedy. He's handsome, he's smart, he preaches Christ-centered and biblically based messages. And with all that going on for him, you would think that he would be the subject of canonization too. But unfortunately, he was the subject of vilification. After having a honeymoon with his new people, he described as lasting only about 10 days. What went wrong? Well, the first thing that I heard was that Division preferred to preach in a suit or just a shirt rather than a Geneva robe as Dr. Kennedy had. I thought I'd try it out today, and it's a grand idea, as a matter of fact. The second complaint was that he preferred to be more like his grandfather and preach solely Scripture rather than pick one political side or another and ride that pony into the ground. And third, most dangerous of all, he changed the service. None of these seem to be hanging offenses to me, but after years in the ministry, I was not surprised by the zeal of his attackers. St. Paul said, "Do not lag in zeal. Be ardent in spirit. Serve the Lord." These people believed that they were serving the Lord by passing out flyers, gossiping behind his back, and then finally calling a congregational meeting to have him removed, generally making his life miserable, fighting him and any change he tried to make. Here is what one member said. "God bless the young people that he's bringing into the congregation, but you've got to understand that before he came here, he was meeting in a cafeteria with his church. And they're now in a multi-million-dollar edifice, and they didn't have to work for it." To which a professor and church consultant, John H. Armstrong, responded, "It seems very apparent to me that the opposition to Julian Division was rooted in raw power and control. The all-American view that you only get to share in what you've worked for and thus paid for comes very clearly through in the disgruntled member's comment." Armstrong said, "I've heard this argument my entire life. You're an outsider because we paid for this and we own it." Armstrong said, "I thought the building belonged to God, not to us."